The Lover's Pentacle 4, Chapter 26, Six of Swords. Carina picked up his things before tidying up the bedroom, and Natasha brought Tivara over inside his cat carrier, and Marmalade was in the porch resting. "You're also going to take this cat and the dog. Michael already sent someone for his other pets," explained Natasha. "So Michael does know, and why didn't he say anything?" asked Carina. "He didn't want to ruin his family vacation, plus Eugenia's pregnant, so it's best not to worry her. And he asked me to ask you how the crime was in your neighborhood," said Natasha. "I think it is a little too soon to move," said Carina, "but whatever gives them peace of mind." The conversation was interrupted when Kane left the bathroom, and he was putting a red sweater set, and he took a couple of steps forward towards the door, and Carina was worried that he was going to suffer a panic attack. And what happened was much worse. He froze on the spot. He neither walked forward nor moved back, and he knew that he needed to leave Natasha's home, though try as he might, he couldn't get the final step out of the bedroom. And Natasha, becoming tired by the situation, pulled Kane by the shirt, causing him to step forward, and he almost lost his balance, and he would have fallen if Obero hadn't been there to support him. "There, you stepped out of the bedroom and you didn't die," barked Natasha, trying a bit of tough love. "I'm sorry for being such a burden," said Kane sadly. "It's fine, Kane, you are forgiven. Now go in peace," said Natasha, doing the sign of the cross. Carina handed the cat carrier to Kane, and together they walked downstairs and outside the house, and Kane looked about suspiciously with his eyes. "Vampires only attack at night," said Natasha jokingly. "I wasn't attacked by a real vampire, you're just a lunatic made of flesh and blood," barked Kane caustically. "Kane, just let it go," insisted Carina. "Come on." Kane reluctantly got inside the car, and he gave a final look around the vicinity, and once he made certain that the coast was clear, he gave Carina permission to drive him home. And during the ride, he amused himself by petting Thibault's paws. And as for the dog Marmalade, she had her head out of the window, and she would bark at random cars from time to time. "Do you remember anything of the attack?" asked Carina. "You read the report, didn't you?" "Everything that I remember was written there," said Kane, not in the mood to talk about it. "Yes, but sometimes we remember other things later," said Carina. "I don't want to talk about it," said Kane, raising his voice. "Kane, an innocent man is rotting away in prison," said Carina. "Because of me," said Kane, finishing Carina's sentence. "It isn't your fault that they're not the first idiot that checked most of the boxes," said Carina. And she added, "At the end of the day, what we want is the culprit, not a culprit." I suppose," said Kane. "Other than your revolver, he didn't take anything else from you?" asked Carina. "I don't know," said Kane after a long period of silence, and he added, "I will have to check my duffel bag and my schedule to make certain that everything is there." "Now that you mention it, there is, said Carina, looking at Kane, "sir, a lock of your hair. Now that you mention it, a lock of your hair is missing." Kane had been avoiding looking at himself in the mirror, and every time he saw that purple bite mark in his neck, it gave him bad flashbacks. And he gathered the sweater around his neck before lowering the windshield wiper, and his haircut was a little off. "Do you think he will try it again?" asked Carina. "I don't know. A part of me hopes that I will never have to deal with a creep again, but at the same time I feel sorry for his next unfortunate target," said Kane. And he added, "He was holding my grandpa's revolver with his left hand." "Now we're getting somewhere," said Carina, while she encouraged Kane to remember more, and she added, "When he lifted you, did he struggle or did he carry you with ease?" "He lifted me as if I was made of feathers," said Kane. "That's perfect, Kane," said Carina happily. "Carlos couldn't have been the culprit. He wasn't strong enough to carry a man of Kane's height and grit with ease." And she tested this new clue to her cousin Rodrigo. And Rodrigo was assisted in the case while Bruno slept, and she added, "And can you tell me anything about his smell?" "He smelled like Carina. Watch the roads. We can talk about this later," said Kane, pointing at a cyclist that Carina had almost ran over. Carina pouted before quieting down, and she would chatter a lot when she was nervous, and she eventually arrived at Kane's home. And Carina opened the front door with her keys, and she turned off the alarm, and once Kane was inside, she turned it back on again. And she went to the gun cabinet to make certain that everything was as it should be. Kane did the same as well, and the only unwanted guests in his house were a couple of roaches that had sneaked inside while he was away. How do those things keep getting inside? Asked Kane, brushing out the carcasses out of the house. Did you add silicone in all of the holes? Asked Carina. I did, said Kane. Well, you probably missed an opening. Or maybe the silicone seal was undone by water, guessed Carina. I want to go to bed, said Kane. With your permission. Have you been working out? Asked Carina. No, said Kane. It is a slippery slope downward, Kane. If you lie on that bed, you will never rise again, said Carina. And let's go jogging for a bit. The cool air will do you good. Kane sighed with frustration before changing into his workout attire, and both jogged around the neighborhood. And despite being short-winded most of the time, Carina forced herself to keep up with Kane, and she needed to be strong when her friend was weak. And Kane appreciated the effort, and so for the second half of the routine, he did it by himself without Carina's assistance. And after working up a good sweat, he somehow felt better. Instead of going to bed, he brought out his cell phone. While Carina cleaned his house, he tested over them. And while mopping the floor, she said, Kane, I was thinking your grandpa had a lot more weapons, so until they track down this revolver, maybe you should make do with your second favorite gun. I suppose, said Kane, going to the gun cabinet, and he brought out a hunting rifle, and this was the second weapon he had used the most with his grandpa. Don't you think that is a bit of an overkill? Asked Carina. I suppose, said Kane, petting his rifle lovingly. Get a room, you two, laughed Carina. And maybe tomorrow you can visit the police station to do some marksmanship training. Yes, I suppose, sighed Kane with frustration. You suppose, Kane. Are you even listening to a word I'm saying? Asked Carina. Yes, I am listening to you, Carina. I am sorry for not being as articulated as Bruno, but I had a long day, a long week, a long month, said Kane before sighing. The bad doesn't last forever, and you just need to have faith that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, said Carina, hugging her friend. Kane took much comfort from the hug, and Carina, pushing him back, said, Eureka, take a shower. And you won't leave while I showered, asked Kane, afraid of being alone. Here is the key to my car, said Carina, handing Kane the car keys. Kane took the keys to the bathroom, and Carina sat in the couch to wait. And just as she was settling down, she saw Marmalade peeing on the wooden floor. And Carina had forgotten that the animals needed to be walked, and she mopped up the floor. She mopped up as soon as she saw it. And with his task done, she went to the bathroom to speak with Kane. Marmalade had a little accident, and I'm going to take the animals to the backyard. And do you think you're going to be alright by yourself for a few minutes? I can manage. It is not as if you're going to be that far away. Plus, I can hear you just fine from the bathroom, said King. How come? Asked Carina. This isn't an impact window, but it is small, so I never bothered to upgrade it, said King. Carina grabbed the leash of the car, and after tracking down T-Ball, she went out to the gardens. Even if it was just going out the yard, Carina took care to set the alarm, and Marmalade ran about the garden looking for a good spot to leave her present, and as for T-Ball, he simply stared at Carina with a spiteful look in his eyes. You know how like cats look at you when they hate you? Like you can always tell when a cat hates your guts. Alright, I will walk you then, said Carina, sitting up. And she ran about the gardens with the cat on a leash. And T-Ball, quite amused, explored his new territory, and he scent marked a few spots. And he stopped a moment before hunching his leg, and he hissed at something only his eyes could perceive. And Carina naturally grew tense, and she realized when she saw that it was just a little squirrel passing by. The cat made a motion to sprint after him, but the leash restricted how far he could run. He returned to patrolling the grounds, and the peace of the evening was broken when the house alarm sounded. And Carina ran back into the house while Kane sprang out of the shower, and his first instinct was to run for the rifle. The problem was that the rifle was in the living room, and he cautiously opened his bedroom door to see who arrived, and he breathed a sigh of relief when he saw that it was his father Jack and Uncle Gant. We came back as soon as we found out, explained Jack. Why didn't you tell us sooner? Asked Ken. I didn't want to ruin your vacation, said Ken. And he then stammered. And it's not as if knowing sooner was going to make much of a difference. My friend Lola is handling the case, and what happened was in her jurisdiction. So it's not as if they are going to allow you to help. They already caught the guy. Not the guy, but maybe he is in. Just because my brother hasn't caught the drunk driver that crashed against your car, it doesn't mean that he has lost his touch as a detective, said Jack. I haven't lost my touch, barked Ken, offended. But you have been behind a desk for quite a long time, thought Jack, and he chose to say instead, I believe in you, big brother. Ken relaxed now that his uncle and father were home, and Carina felt that her presence was no longer needed, and she made her way towards the car, and she saw an unfamiliar vehicle parked near Ken's house, and there was a person sitting inside, and when the person saw that he was noticed, he immediately drove away, and Carina attempted to get a view of the license plate, but it drove away quickly, and she returned to the house to inform them of the mysterious car. Did you hire a private detective or something? Asked Carina. No, said Ken. There was this red car parked outside the house, and when he saw that I saw him, he just drove away, said Carina. It was probably nothing, said Ken, trying to put Carina at ease. And even if it was something, I am here now, and let me do what I do best. Carina started making her way towards the door, and she was stopped when she heard someone saying, hello. She giggled when she saw that it was the cat Tybalt, and Ken had told her that the cat could meow a few phrases. Meow. The cat repeated the word hello, and there was someone lurking outside the front garden. It was somebody that only the cat could smell. Tybalt looked at Carina quite serious before saying, mellow. Mama Lee started barking at the door, and Uncle Ken reached for his revolver, and they all relaxed when the cat said, May. Did he say bye? Asked Jack. Close enough, said Carina, and Mama Lee has stopped barking, so I think the danger has passed. So yeah, like the dog sensed that there was like somebody the dogs and the cat sensed that there was like somebody lurking outside. I think you better spend the night with us, Carina, said Jack. Tired as she was, she decided to stay, and this proved to be the right decision. And with her in the house, Ken was unable to obey his initial instinct to berate his nephew for answers. And Carina made dinner, and during dessert, a thought came into her mind. Do you think they did a forensic analysis on the cat? Asked Carina. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't, though now that I remember, they just handed me the cat as soon as they caught him. So perhaps they didn't come to him for evidence, said Ken, jumping out of his chair. He picked up Tybalt before gingerly placed him inside his car carrier, and he drove away to the police station, handling the investigation, and he was delighted to report that they had indeed forgotten to comb the cat for evidence. It has been almost a week, said Ken, stabbing his cheesecake without much enthusiasm. I doubt they will find anything of use. Well, if you weren't stupid enough to watch the cat, then perhaps we might get lucky, said Carina. You know, Carina, said Ken, Sphinx cats are naturally hairless, and they are covered in microscopic hair that gives them a peach-like texture, plus Tybalt has whiskers. We are assuming that the cat did indeed attack the man who hurt you, said Carina. Trust me, he did attack him, said Ken. Among the fucking things I remember is the man complaining about the stupid cat scratching him. Carina tested the information to Uncle Ken and Rodrigo, and the cat's claws were combed for evidence, and they found a fabric fiber under the claw. It was recycled wool, and among the other things they checked was if Tybalt was truly hairless or not. And under the microscope, it was confirmed that he had indeed super tiny hair fiber, and they checked the outfit that they had in the evidence locker. And Carlos' pants were made of denim, not wool, and this fact alone was enough to get him out of jail. Though the fact that they didn't have cat hair helped prove his innocence. The scratch on his shoulder was also much older, so it couldn't have been made by a stray bullet. And his outfit also didn't have a single bit of cat hair fiber on it. Carlos at night walked out the holding cell, a free man, all sense to Thibault, and he was still a person of interest, and Detective Lola was still not convinced of his innocence. Though the fact that Thibault didn't hit at Carlos, it gave her the impression that he was indeed innocent, and she had a healthy respect for Thibault's intelligence, and if it wasn't for the cat, she wouldn't have been able to save King from that psychopath. Alright, that's chapter 1, God bless.